All right, so I'm about to put a lot, and I mean a lot of trust in you. And I'll also give you my spoiler-free review of Netflix's Drifting Dragons. Welcome to the newest episode of SDW.
Super Dario World!
It's a me,
Dario!
Woohoo! Let's go!
All right, so before I begin, quick reminder, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram or at SuperDario_World. Also, follow my Facebook page, Super Dario World. I update everything there, including all the other podcasts that I have, which are the Super Dario Brothers podcast and the SDW in Espanol, which is the Spanish podcast that I do. I haven't done it in a little bit, but I'll return to doing them next week. So every single thing, it's updated there. So you can follow it there just all in one spot. Makes it easier for you. So I'm about to put a lot of trust in you guys. And what I mean by that is, for those of you who don't know, I work for a radio station called Rock 105.3, and I work for the morning show there. And for the past couple of months, the show has been broadcasting from quarantine, what we call quarantine studios, and I've been in the big studio at the station running things from there, right? I've been the go-between between the show and the on-air people, basically. So normally, I would never speak of something that may or may not happen on the air, or that has not happened on the air. But this time, I was feeling a bit naughty. So I'm going to put a lot of trust in you guys. I'm going to trust that you will not share this information, okay? So, honestly, I don't know if the show's coming back on Monday. In studio. I don't know. And a part of me kind of hates that they haven't confirmed this yet, but also another part of me knows that it would actually be a pretty hysterical prank if they just don't tell me anything and I have to show up there at 5 a.m. and they're there. So, which means that I would not have had to have shown up so early, so I would have been pissed, but actually I would have found it funny because it would have been actually a legit prank. I hope they don't do that. But in case that they do, I also have another prank set up for them. Well, not necessarily a prank, but let's say I left a situation there that may or may not cause a little chaos. What was the situation? This is what I'm trusting you guys that you will not give him a heads up about, okay? No heads up, or no warning, no nothing, because it's actually, hopefully it would be pretty funny for me. So, if you guys remember, earlier on in the week, I was bitching and moaning about technology, and a lot of it had to do with a keyboard and the wireless keyboard running out of batteries. So what I did, the keyboard that ran out of batteries is the one that runs the soundboard, the computer that's next to the soundboard, and let's call that Thor's computer. And so what I did is I stole a wired keyboard from another studio. Let's call that Emily's studio. So since I was still going to be using the computer for the foreseeable future, I just kept the wired keyboard up front. I did get some batteries eventually for the wireless one, but I didn't put them back on the keyboard because I decided, you know what, I'm not going to use this keyboard anyway. Why does it need batteries? So I just put the batteries to the side and, in case I ever needed them for something else in the future. So on Monday, when Thor gets back there, he's going to have a wired keyboard, which is going to work perfectly and it's going to be fine. However, when Emily gets there, she's going to be like, what the fuck? Where's my fucking keyboard? So I did give out Emily a heads up that I did take her keyboard at one point. So she's going to know that her keyboard, is in the big studio. Thor is going to be like, all right, take this. However, the other keyboard has no batteries. So something's got to give. Somebody's going to start bitching about it, and it's going to cause a fight. And hopefully I won't be there until, let's say, closer to 6 a.m. I'll be there at 5:50, and I'll have the batteries on me because I kept the batteries on me accidentally. And so we'll see how things play out, because Thor can't get any batteries because the engineers aren't there. Oh, it could be so much fun. And again, I'm trusting you guys that you won't spoil this for me. I'm trusting you. This might be a one and done if you guys betray me. Like, please don't betray me. All right. So that was that. Hopefully you can look forward to that in the morning. And for those of you who don't know, it's the morning show is Rock 105.3 in San Diego. You can listen to it on a radio station here in San Diego, or you can listen to it live on the iHeartRadio app. Just Rock 105.3 on the iHeartRadio app at 6 a.m. in San Diego. We'll see how it goes. I'm hoping it will be funny for me. I'm hoping it'll be very funny for me. If not, it'll give me something to giggle about, during the weekend. Like, hee 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 hee. I might have gotten something naughty done. Anyway, the show. So, talking about the TV show Drifting Dragons. For those of you who don't know, it's a new Netflix TV show. It came out, I believe, last week, and it's an anime. Or is it 2 weeks ago? I don't know. The point is, I just watched it, so I'm going to give you a review right now. Overall, and I always try to give you this straight up, straightforward, is it worth your time? The question is, the answer to me is yes. It was actually an enjoyable watch. Now, why did I decide to watch the show? Because honestly, I'm a sucker for anything that has the word dragon in it, and I tend to check it out just for that. However, the TV show doesn't really have dragons in it. Let me explain. A dragon, by definition, is a creature that has 2 arms, 2 legs, and then wings. This thing has a bunch of really weird flying things that they call dragons, but they're not technically dragons. However, I'll forgive it. So what's the show about? The show is, imagine Moby Dick meets a cooking show. I feel that's a fair description, or what would be closer? Moby Dick, a steampunk Moby Dick meets a cooking show. I feel that's fair. Yeah, steampunk is all right. The TV show is basically about, have you ever, imagine whalers, but instead of whalers, they're drakers. So there's a whole bunch of zeppelins, dudes in a giant zeppelin and a boat underneath it, and they sail the skies and they hunt dragons. That's their job. And they do it not like dragon slayers, they do it like drakers, which means harpoons. And the objective of hunting these dragons is to get their meat. Also, oils from the brains and stuff like that, use their bones. So the objective is, it's not just, dragons are bad and they're gonna kill us. It's actually it's a business. It's an industry. They're working stuff. So the hunting part. I need to start by saying this. I need to clarify this. I'm not a big fan of the animation style. I don't. It's made to look kind of computery. You know how it kind of looks like it's a video game. I'm not a big fan of that animation, and I don't know why Netflix keeps doing it. I'm not a fan. However, at times you do forget that they're doing that. So the story and the characters are interesting enough that you kind of forget a little bit. But I'm not a fan. I wish they would just go back to simple drawing. It's way better. Anyway, so what was I talking about? So you get to see Hunting of the Dragons, which is pretty interesting. And then you get like a full-on tutorial on how, well, not a full-on tutorial, but let's say a very short tutorial on how to cook a particular part of meat from that dragon, which is actually a real-world dish that they use in a different fashion. It is actually pretty interesting. The cooking part of it is actually pretty interesting, and it makes you really hungry. So it's a very interesting mix. It's a bizarre mix. And the thing that makes the show actually stand out, I won't call it I can't call it a character piece per se, but it's one of those shows that it's basically you're out there, different adventure every episode. It kind of follows a certain flow, but you can't say it has an overall plot. It's just the adventures of a draking ship. It's a different world. It's a steampunk world. It's pretty interesting. The world seems pretty well built. Every single episode, you learn more things about this world. You learn more enemies. You learn more dangers. You learn more about the culture. It's very well thought out. It feels very real. It feels very organic. Honestly, it doesn't feel fake at all. You feel like they actually put some thought into this world, which makes it great. Now, the characters are front and center on this show because for most of the season, you're stuck with only the characters on the ship. There's interactions with other characters, which is interesting, but most of the time you're with the crew, and it is quite a potpourri of interesting and bizarre weirdos, but in a good way. They're really good, each one in their own way. The main character, Takeda, is a girl, and she's kind of new to the world. So you're following a rookie in the world of the Drakers. She legit knows very little into it, but she's excited. She's happy. She's there to learn. She may or may not have some doubts about what she's doing, but that's part of the fun. You get to follow the experienced vet who's a total psycho and kind of an adrenaline junkie, who's always fun. You get the reluctant very talented newbie, or kind of semi not a newbie because he's got the pedigree for it. You got the natural who is kind of losing the love for the whole thing. You got the dudes who I've never considered anything else but that. The drinking life is really weird. You got the accountant who's always very worried about money. It's a potpourri of great characters. Honestly, that's the best part of the show, and it's an interesting mix. It's the variety that makes it interesting. Apparently, in this world, dragon meat is a delicacy. That's why they're hunting it, and so seeing them cook it, the way they prepare it, all the variety stuff is super fascinating. Super fascinating, especially if you're into cooking and stuff. But it does give a certain balance to the show, because there's a there's like the adrenaline and the danger of hunting, the action scenes, kind of then cut in between with all the character stuff, and then you get the weird thing that makes you drool for no reason. The animation for that, the drawings for that, actually making food look delicious in a drawing is something that I respect, and it actually manages to do that perfectly. So overall, is it worth your time? Yeah. Is it the greatest show I've ever seen? No. I would probably give it a 7 because it's just watchable. It's one of those things that you would have in the background and enjoy. Honestly, no. I need to rephrase that, because I did not have it in the background. I actually sat there and enjoy it. So it's an enjoyable show. You get to sit there. The story is interesting enough. The characters are definitely interesting enough. So overall, if you have time this weekend, and if you like dragons or cooking shows, highly recommend it. Honestly, the world is well thought out. The characters are interesting. The cooking part's interesting. Overall, meshes pretty well. So, I can't say I highly recommend it. It's not a must watch for any reason at all, but it's an enjoyable watch. So, I think that's fair. It's an enjoyable watch if you have time. Anyway, that's it for today. Please don't throw me on the bridge. Please don't ruin this for me on Monday, if it even happens. But as always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Dario the Show on Instagram or at Super Dario World. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you again next time.